Ladies and gentlemen, the date today is February 24, 2014. The time is 5:30 p.m. This is the meeting of the Paris City Council. I'm going to call the meeting to order. We will start with an invocation by Jean, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Dr. Grossnickel. If I can ask everyone to please stand.
May we pray? Heavenly Father, we thank you for each and every blessing that you give us, for we know all good and perfect gifts come from you. Father, we thank you especially for those of us who were born here in America, that you allowed that to be so. For even with all of its shortcomings sometimes, Father, this is still the place that all of us would like to live and all of us would like to have our families. So we pray, Father, tonight for our city council as they go about the city business, that you would guide and direct them, give them wisdom. And Father, might we all go away thankful that we have the opportunity, Father, to govern our own lives and do things, Father, which are pleasing in your sight. For this I do pray in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Jean. Thank you, Dr. Grossnickel. Item number 4 is the Citizens Forum. Persons desiring to address the council must limit their presentation to no more than 2 minutes. The Texas Open Meetings Act prohibits the council from responding to any comments other than to refer the matter to a future agenda, to an existing policy, or to a staff person with specific factual information. Claims against the city, council members, or individual employees or personnel appeals are not appropriate for the Citizens Forum. The Citizens Forum is now open. If you want to address, please come to the podium, state your name, and write your address for the record. Thank you.
Hi, Mayor Hashmi again, and council members. Thank you for giving me a couple of minutes to speak. I appreciate it. My name is Rachel Kane. I represent the American Heart Association. The address is 10900B Stone Lake Boulevard in Austin, Texas. I am also a member of Smoke Free Texas, a coalition of public health associations, including the American Cancer Society, the American Lung Association, the Campaign for Tobacco-Free Kids, and the American Heart Association. What I would like to say tonight is that I want to thank all of the coalition members in this community who have fought long and hard to get a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance passed in this city, including Deb Fleming and all of her students, Dr. Amanda Green, Emily Neely from the Public Health Department, Sissy Grubbs, the list goes on and on. There are so many community members that want to see a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance passed. Sadly, with the task force committee compromise, I know there has to be a compromise, and there was give and take on each side. If bars are not included in this ordinance, your ordinance will not be comprehensive. It is the only thing holding you back from being comprehensive. If a marathon is 26.2 miles, you guys have run 26 miles. You are stopping 2/10 of the finish line from having a comprehensive smoke-free ordinance. Please reconsider adding bars back into this ordinance to make it comprehensive. And the reason that we say that is research and data shows us that a true public health impact occurs when all workplaces, 100%, are included. And there are people that work at bars. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Grinstead?
My name's Larry Grinstead. I just wanted to comment on the smoking.
Address.
305 32nd Northeast, Paris, Texas. I agree with needing a smoking policy. I don't agree that the citizens or the town has a right to limit personal businesses from having to follow this. I'm not a speaker, but I think all of the city buildings, libraries, hospitals, any of the federal buildings, it's fine. But any public or privately owned restaurant, business, should be their decision. If I don't like a restaurant because it's got a smoking, I don't go there. If I like a restaurant and it has a smoking, I still go there. It's my choice, and I like to have my choices. I don't know why we're stopping with just smoking. There's a tremendous amount of people in this city that has an asthma problem, and I don't know how many times my wife is asthmatic, and we go into a place and the customers have a strong cologne, and we have had to leave. It doesn't stop us from going back in. So I would like to see more of a people's choice. Thank you.
Thank you for coming, Mr. Grinstead.
Good evening. My name is Tom Hurst. I'm here in Paris. I've been here 7 years. I'm not from here, but I do like this little town. I'm a retired truck driver, and I'm not really, to me it's not about the smoking or non-smoking. Myself, I do smoke a cigarette once in a while, but I'm polite when I do it. I don't get around people. I stay by myself. I do appreciate the few restaurants in town that do have smoking, and for the ones that don't, I'll frequent them also, but I do not smoke in them. I obey the law. What I'm concerned about is not the smoking. It's about our freedom, our rights. You know, I'm 71 years old. I've been all over the United States, Canada, and old Mexico. I've seen a lot of freedom lost in the past few years here. And that's what concerns me, is that our rights are just being taken away every day. I believe all y'all know that from what we've, like I say, in the past 6 or 8 years, that the freedom we lost. And I could go back further than that, but I won't. But that's all I'm asking, you know, is for y'all to think about the freedom, the right that we have. If a person wants to smoke, they should have that freedom. If a restaurant wants to say no smoking, that's fine. But the ones that say, yes, we want to allow it, then that's fine too. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for coming. If
My name is Lisa Lee. I live at 664 24 Southeast. I think this smoking thing is not really a smoker's versus a non-smoker's right. It's a business owner's right to run their privately owned business, how they choose to run it. I think that we're looking at where do you draw the line on our freedoms? When did we become a nation of people that are so incapable of making choices for ourselves that we must legislate those choices upon everybody? I think it's wrong. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Did you write your name and address, ma'am?
Yes, I did.
Thank you.
664 Southeast 24.
Thank you.
I'm John House. I reside at 1446 Clarksville Street. And I noticed on the agenda we were talking about encouraging downtown property owners to improve their facilities. And I noticed last night that when I was downtown that there were quite a few lights out. And I'm mainly speaking about the lamppost lights, not the street lights. I mean, there was 2 street lights out, but the lamppost lights, I think I counted about 8 of them out. There were two out of three lights out on the north side of the square, which is in front of Williams Sporting Goods. That's those lamppost lights. So 2 out of 3 of those were out. You go down Bonham Street towards Texas Furniture and the Royal Barbershop, that area, there's 4 lights down there, and I don't recall seeing any of those on. And on the west side of the square, which is around where Spangler's is, that one of those lights is out, and then also across from the side entrance to People's Bank, there's another one out. And, you know, it kind of makes it look neglected. It kind of makes it look like no one's home, you know. And I think as a city, we need to project that we're tending to business and take care of our lights, you know, and keep them on and keep them clean or whatever it takes. And I'm real happy to see that the city is considering revitalizing downtown. And I'm hoping that we can get somebody to monitor the street lights and our lamps, because I know we must have spent a lot of money on those lamps. They're probably $1,000 each, you know. So that's all I want to say, and thank you.
Thank you for coming, Mr. House. Ms. Swint, you've been wanting to speak.
I didn't know if I would have an opportunity to speak since my husband's name is the
No,
only
no, you
one.
can speak in the Citizens Forum for 2 minutes if you want to.
I'm Susan Swint. We live on County Road 41-100. Our mailing address is 2510 Stillhouse Road. And I would just like to give a bit of a mother's perspective, a grandmother's perspective about the proposed developments at Lake Crook. I think my husband will cover a great many things about its financing, but I want to point out that we have some unique educational opportunities out at Lake Crook. Some people have been concerned how we would staff anything we had out there in the way of cabins or RV sites or maintaining the park. When we were at MD Anderson Laboratories, the housekeeping staff was running a housekeeping school, and the people who maintained our labs went on to jobs as heads of housekeeping in other institutions. We could have an adjunct classroom there for Texas A&M's programs in recreational development. If we began developing Lake Crook even this summer, we could have jobs for our teenagers as we begin to survey and mark and clear trails. This is an introduction to surveying for some young people who might never have another opportunity to be exposed to that. It's a remunerative future career. It's applied mathematics. It's both physical and mental. It's wonderful opportunity. Many of us mothers and grandmothers are concerned about our children getting off the sofa and getting outside and doing things. Organized sports are wonderful, but they're not for every child. We have a wonderful asset out there for our kids to be able to run around, climb on things, see birds, see animals, go out on the lakes, a totally different range of activities from organized sports. When we went with Mayor Hashmi and Mr. Godwin and Mr. Efrasy out there, we saw deer jump across. It was exciting. It always is. Have I used my 2 minutes?
Yes, you have.
Well, if you want to hear more, I can tell you more.
I think we'll limit it
Thank
to
you.
2 minutes. Anybody else wanting to speak in the Citizens Forum is most welcome to speak. Dr. Mosley?
I sent this first.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate the time you're giving me.
Your name and address,
Oh,
please.
my name is Dr. Robert Mosley. I live at 3915 Shannon Drive, Paris, Texas. I just want to reiterate that I think the citizens of Paris, this is such a big project that they would have the right to vote for the lake project, and try for y'all to try to give us as much information that is possible for us to make a good decision on it.
Thank you for coming, Dr. Mosley.
And thank you for the time.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mayor Hoshmi and Board. I'm Kyle McCarley. I live at 2375 Wildwood here in Paris, Texas. My family has Paris lumber. I've come to speak about Lake Crook. I've enjoyed Lake Crook since I was a child. Lake Crook was still active back in the 60s and 70s. We had birthday parties, high school events, fireworks events way back. Lake Crook is a jewel that we haven't used much. We started a 5-point resurrection plan several years ago. They did the first 3 points. Tenasca did the beautiful open air cover for the picnic area. They hauled off a bunch of old picnic tables, brought in new picnic tables, did rails around the areas, cleared a bunch of land, and then never did anything else. If we simply mow what's there and maintain what's there and paint the rails and bring in a few more playgrounds, we'll have an area that the citizens can use. I see Lake Crook one of these days being a park inside a large city of Paris, like White Rock Lake is to Dallas. And inside, you've got a beautiful park with a street around it, the play area, the different park areas, ball fields and all inside the street, with residential and business areas outside the street. Our city fathers built this lake as a water supply for Paris, but also as a wonderful park. And I think we really need to consider this, and I'm with Dr. Mosley. We need to present it well to the citizens, spell out all the avenues, and put it to a vote. Let's don't railroad this thing out and sell it. Now, we do sell developers. We sell for construction. Paris Lumber couldn't survive without it. But we sure would like to see it a park.
Thank you so
for
much.
your time.
Thank you. If there's nobody. Sure, please.
My name is Joni Moore, and I live at 3035 Oak Creek Drive. Haven't been to a council meeting in a very long time. I came tonight to get a little education. I'm listening. We've known Dr. and Mrs. Swint for years, highly respect them, and I applaud them for the donation that they want to make to Lake Crook. We're landowners at Lake Crook. My husband and I own 65 acres. We always planned on building a home out there. Right now, I don't want to live at Lake Crook. I don't want to live there because of the conditions. The road alone, it took us forever to get a bridge out there. So, although I applaud the Swints for what they've done, we've been here for 20 years, and I haven't seen a lot of changes in 20 years. And I'm an administrator of a school district. I've got tennis courts out by my school that the city's supposed to maintain, and the grass is 3 feet high. My concern is, no matter what way we go, do we, as a city and as a community, do we have the funds and the manpower to take care of what will start? That's my concern. So if you want to say I'm for the development, that's very probable on my side, because I want to see something done. And I'm tired of sitting around and waiting. We just need to do something. We've talked about this 20 years for at-risk kids. We need to do something, we need to do something. But if we sit around and talk about it, nothing's happening. So that's all I wanted to say, and I applaud all of you for sitting on the city council, because I don't think I'd want your job.
Thank you. I think we all love our job, and I would strongly encourage you to run.
I think she's in your district.
It's not that bad. Just a little thick skin, what you need. Anybody else wanting to speak? If nobody else is wanting to speak, the Citizens Forum is now closed. We'll next move on to the consent agenda. By the way, before I do that, can we please look at the lights that the gentleman mentioned?
Oh, I wrote them all down.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
They're out, all the way out Bonham Street, too.
I'm happy that you're not recording my bald head this time. All right. We next move to the consent agenda. Do any of the council members wish to discuss any of these points? Ms. Drake?
No, sir, not this time.
Mr. Frierson?
No.
Dr. Grossnickel?
No, sir.
Mr. Jenkins?
No, sir.
Mr. Wright?
I'd like to ask,
Oh, Ms. Lancaster, I'm sorry.
No.
Mr. Wright?
I'd like to ask where we're talking about on these sidewalks and curbs and gutters.
Mr. Godwin?
Oh,
You need your,
nowhere specific. These are just annual bids for materials, so that as we need those materials, we have a bid already in place. We don't bid each project for those types of materials. It's just an annual bid that we've been doing each year for many, many years. So if we have a sidewalk repair, if we have a street overlay, if we have a pothole repair, we have the material prices
The way
already.
number 12 is listed would seem to talk about replacement of concrete curbs, gutters, driveways, and approaches.
Right, those are all maintenance items, though. We might replace 5 feet, or we might replace 97 feet, depending on what's broken or what needs to be replaced. So these are all just annual maintenance items. There's no specific site in place yet.
Okay.
are you satisfied with the wording, Mr. Wright, or you want any changes in it?
I just thought we were talking about specifics of the actual fact of bidding it out. It says accept the bid for the contract. It doesn't say material, it says for the contract of replacement.
Well, maybe, I don't know, Rufus here tonight, maybe Rufus can, or Sean can explain it better than me, but,
I'm just approaching it as it's listed
right,
on here.
right. How it works is if, let's say there's a sidewalk on Main Street and there's a block that has to be replaced because it's broken or because they dig it up, whoever the low bidder was that you award a contract to tonight, they'll be the ones that'll come out and pour that. We don't do the actual work ourselves in most cases, but these are material bids, the time and material bids, so that we've already got somebody. So you don't have to hire somebody every time over and over and over and over and over. You just hire somebody once a year to do that kind of work. Does that make sense? Is that any better?
I guess.
I think his concern was, if I'm understanding Mr. Wright right, that it says award the contract, which means a specific contract.
Well, it is a contract to provide this work when we need you, but we don't know if we're going to need you 4 times a year or 83 times a year. That's why it's based on cubic yard or
A
ton.
definite
Or,
maybe.
well, we don't know what we're going to, again, it's maintenance, and we don't know what we're going to need to repair before we know that. So it's an annual bid. It's I don't know, I mean, how many years y'all have done it that way? So it's not anything unique or different from what's been done in the past.
Mr. Wright, do you want do you want a correction in this, or are you satisfied the way it is?
What I get, we're not doing what it says.
Would you like to suggest a correction?
What talks about, you're talking about supplies, and this is talking about the awarding the contract. If you're asking for
Contract for supply of materials? Could we say contract
Sean,
for supply
do you want to help
materials?
out over here?
John is right. This is something that Public Works has been doing for a number of years, and it's actually a contract with like a contractor. Currently, I believe Power Jack has the concrete, like sidewalk, curb and gutters, and what it is like, for instance, water line breaks underneath the curb and gutter. They have to go replace it. Then they call Power Jack. They already have a unit price. They call them to come fix that. So the contract's awarded on a unit bid or units, so it's like per linear foot of sidewalk or curb and gutter. It's kind of worded like that, so depending on what the problem is or what needs to be fixed, you can replace that on a unit price basis instead of having to go out every single time, take bids from contractors and do that. It saves Public Works a lot of time, manpower in doing it that
Well,
way.
didn't Smallwood do some of that work too?
Bobby usually hires 2 or 3 other concrete guys to do some of his work.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually got bids from 3 different companies on the concrete, Guess, Power Jack, and Bashir's. And then for the street materials, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 different bid. Well, 2, there were some no bids in there. We got information from 4 and got no bids from 4. And that's in your backup on page, I don't know, I'm still not used to this yet.
It's on page
95. Page 95 and page 97 is the backup that shows you the bids for all of those different things, the different materials and different services.
Yeah.
And I apologize. I'm kind of running number 11 and number 12 into one answer, and you just asked me about number 12. You
I
didn't
did.
ask me.
I asked
And so
about
that's
specifically number 12.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was answering number 11. You asked me number 12. Number 12 is just the concrete, and that's to provide the actual concrete work, not the concrete material. So I apologize. I was looking at 11 and not 12.
I thought I was dizzy for a while.
Well, I thought I was for a minute too.
Are you satisfied, Mr.
Yes.
Rose? Any further questions on this? And I'm sorry, I forgot to. Can I have a motion on this item, please?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. The motion carries. Next, we move on to the regular agenda. Item number 14 is discuss and act on recommendations of the Task Force on Smoking Ordinance. So first of all, I would request that all the members of the task force who are present here today, if they can please stand and identify themselves.
Jeff Martin.
Linda Vandermeer.
Thank you, first of all, for coming. Now, both of the sides had appointed a spokesperson. I think, John, you were from the smoking section, and and Miss Green, Dr. Green, was from the non-smoking group. Dr. Green is tied up. She has just texted me that she's tied up with a patient, so she's not here right now. If I can ask, since you both of you were elected to be the spokespeople, if I can ask you to please come at least to the podium. First of all, on behalf of the council, I want to thank all of you for or against. I don't want to just recognize the people who are for the ban, but also for the people who are against the ban for spending your time and coming and spending the last 2.5 hours on Friday to come to some reasonable conclusion. So my question to you, since Dr. Green is not here, did both of you groups come to a reasonable conclusion?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you were not coerced in any way or form by any of these council members who are here?
No.
Okay. All right. Are both of your sides okay with your decisions?
Yes, sir. We all voted. We came to a compromise.
Okay. And I also explained to you that whatever decisions the task force recommended, the council eventually has the power to decide whether to proceed with it or not.
We understand that.
Okay. The task force came to conclusions, and I think, as I read in the paper, neither side was very happy with their decision, but I'm happy that you came to some conclusion, so I appreciate that. I'm going to just ask you to describe what conclusions you came to the council, so that the council is aware of what you came on from both sides, represent both sides, because Dr. Green is not here right now. And then we'll go further with this.
Thank you. Council, we met for, as the doctor said, for 2 or 2.5 hours last week, and there was some good debate and some healthy give and take. As the mayor said, neither one of us walked away with everything we wanted. We knew that going in. We knew there'd be compromise. However, when all was said and done, both sides, it was a very amicable agreement. Each side gave on some issues. Each side stuck with some issues that were important to us. But at the end of the meeting, we agreed that the compromises that we reached were in the best interest overall of the city. Again, not everybody was happy with all of the compromises, but in general, we thought that it was for the best of the city that we agreed to give on some issues and stick firm on some issues. So I hope that you take our recommendations to heart and pass the proposed revised ordinance as we present it to you. Again, we have not seen that ordinance either, so there will probably be some tweaking on that based on what you see and based on what the task force sees.
Thank you. I'd like to make a comment here. First of all, I appreciate everybody's help with that. And I think the council should remember that it's eventually our decision to accept or not to accept whatever the recommendations are. But by the same token, I would say that if we were not to accept the recommendation, we shouldn't have had the task force, so we should listen to what the task force has recommended. Having said that, now, since I'm speaking on the council side today, I'll say one thing, and that is there is a little disagreement that I have with the recommendation, and that is that I felt that the second or third fine, which was up to $500, I felt that is excessive. And again, I'm going to leave to the task force what the task force decides after you've met again, which is your next meeting is next Monday. But personally, I would recommend that you reconsider. That seems an exorbitant fine. That's number one. And number two, as far as fines are concerned, my suggestion would be that leave it to the attorney to decide what kind of an offense it is, if it's a misdemeanor or whatever it is, so that the fines are appropriate to the offense, so that it doesn't become a judgment part based on 1 or 2 or 3 people. It should be whatever it's classified as. If it's classified as a misdemeanor, then the fine that is appropriate for the misdemeanor should come, rather than me, you, or somebody else fixate the fine at 100 or 500 or whatever X amount of money is. But again, this is just a suggestion from a council person. It's up to you people to sit down again next Monday when it comes out and discuss and decide whatever you feel more appropriate.
But Dr. Green is not here. You can live with that? There are some...
You can still think over. This is just a suggestion. This is not a decision on my part. But with that said, I'm going to open it for discussion. So, Ms. Drake.
First of all, I applaud the committee for such hard work and coming to a compromise. And we'll be anxious to see what the city attorney drafts from the meeting, and then coming back next Monday and looking and tweaking before we bring it to the council on the 10th. And so that's all I have to say at this time.
Thank you. Mr. Frierson.
Yeah, John, I have a couple quick questions, and I would like to echo Cleon's thoughts on people volunteering their time, and certainly that's a noble cause, especially on such a sensitive issue. If you could kind of go over the parameters with me. I know I read them, in the paper, but I have some specific questions, but just in general, what agreement did you guys kind of outline?
I'll summarize it, and I'll ask Jeff Martin if you'll listen and correct me if I stray. In general, those of us who are opposed to the ordinance as it was originally proposed, we're concerned about property rights and about individual rights in the city. The compromise we came to was that restaurants would be required to be non-smoking, but those facilities, bars, or facilities that whose revenue was greater than 50% in alcohol sales would be able to remain a smoking facility if they chose to be. They could always choose to be non-smoking. Private clubs were exempt. We put a provision in for employees who worked at those facilities to go outside a certain distance away from the entrance of a restaurant or a retail outlet, so that patrons of those outlets wouldn't have to walk through a smoky area.
I can help you with this.
Yes.
Mr. Frierson, the thought was if it's a restaurant, it will be 20 feet from the entry point, because the restaurant owners felt that taking people 100 feet away, particularly employees, would essentially take them off the property, which they didn't want to do. As far as stores are concerned where general public goes, such as Walmart, I mean, I'm not trying to pick and choose, but Walmart or Kroger's or something like that, it'll be 100 feet and to a side, so that people do not get secondhand smoke, if that is the specific that you wanted. And I think
the private ballpark, the Appleton ballpark, would, I think they were included in the 100 feet. They'd have a set aside area 100 feet from the general public for patrons to go smoke.
Yeah. Whether the ballpark is, and general public area, if there's a concession stand, would be considered as a general public area. So you have to be 100 feet away or to a specific designated area. And the other thing was, we wanted self-policing rather than policing to begin with. At some point, obviously, everybody felt, both sides felt actually, that to leave it with no penalty would really make this null and void.
Pointless,
So,
yeah.
Pointless. So the preference would be that people will self-police it, because we don't want our police department to be too much involved in it. But by the same token, if a situation arises that the police has to be called, with the hopes that in time people will get used to it and police department will not be getting a lot of calls.
Okay. And with respect, just go over with me one more time, the private club issue, they are...
Private clubs would be exempt from
So they
the
could choose.
smoke ordinance. So if they chose to be a non-smoking facility, they could choose to do so.
Okay.
But private clubs were not included in the smoking ban.
Restaurant category, for like...
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And there was one other thing that once currently if you've designated your place as a restaurant, that you cannot now change back and say, okay, well, now tomorrow I'm a private club. Or the fact that you make it into a private club and say that there's no entry or a charge or a membership when you come in, it's a temporary membership, and when you go out, your membership's gone, just to avoid confusion in it. Yes, actually we did, and those specifications I think were discussed that day. I don't remember each one of them, but what was a specification for a private club was written and drawn out of what was.
It was. It includes the private clubs as defined in this proposed smoking ordinance would just be the fraternal organizations, the 501c3 tax exempt type organizations. Not the restaurants in Paris that used to be private clubs before we had the mixed beverage election 4 or 5 years ago. We're not talking about those. We're talking about the American Legion.
Elks Lodge.
Elks Lodge. Elks Lodge type.
Okay.
And one other thing, Council, that we removed the e-cigarettes from the ordinance. The task force thought there wasn't enough data, scientific data, to prove one way or the other. So we removed that from the proposed ordinance.
Mr. Frierson, can I take a second and ask a question while you're on? Is there a particular, that's for you, is there a particular age that you can sell the e-cigarettes to, or?
There is not, and the government has not regulated that, but we do. We are against the underage, so I have 7 of the vapor stores and all my stores card anyone. We, as for parents and everyone, we don't want those children under 18 to be able to. So we do card everyone. It is our policy at Lucky's to card.
Okay. Thank you for answering. That was something that we didn't discuss that day, and it was just not clear in my mind. Back to you, Mr. Frierson.
No, I think that answered actually all the questions I have at this point.
Dr. Gross-Nickel?
I too would like to thank the members of the committee, because I know it's a black and white issue in a lot of ways, but y'all did make compromise and came up with something that does stiffen our smoking ordinance, although I still feel like we could and should hopefully add the bars back to the same category as restaurants, so that we could achieve a comprehensive smoking ordinance designation and be recognized as more of a smoke-free city. But that's it. That's all I've got.
Ms. Lancaster, I'm not forgetting you this time.
I want to join everyone in applauding your willingness to serve on a committee that's really got such knotty problems to work out. And pretty much most of the questions I had have been answered until we meet again. But thank you again for your service.
You're welcome.
Mr. Franklin, you? No, just wait. Mr. Jenkins?
Well, I have no questions for you right now, but I appreciate everyone's effort.
Thank you.
And Mr. Wright?
I appreciate the committee's endeavor. You got guts. And
both sides.
I'll wait to see the printed material, and after it goes through the legalese and so forth. But thank you very much for your job.
Thank you.
At this point, this is just would be direction to the attorney. Does the council want to proceed with the recommendations of task force to be given to the attorney to formulate a formal ordinance and bring it back to the council? So that's the question. Ms. Drake, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Frierson?
In the spirit of compromise, yes.
Okay. Dr. Gross-Nichols?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Wright?
Yes.
Okay. So you have directions from the council to
Yes, sir.
formulate an ordinance based on what the task force, and I would say yes too.
Thank you. I think I can speak for Dr. Green also. We'd like to thank the council, both Dr. Green and I, as the spokespersons for our group, for giving us the time to hammer out the compromise. Thank you.
Thank you again. And thank you all to all the people who showed patience and negotiated this. All right, moving on to the next item. Item number 15 is presentation from Dr. Swint about the Lake Crook Park. Dr. Swint made for people to recall, Dr. Swint and Mrs. Swint made a generous donation towards the Lake Crook property. Dr. Swint had some recommendations, and Dr. Swint wanted to present a little more detailed account of what he was thinking and wanting. So I've put it on the agenda for Dr. Swint to speak today. So Dr. Swint, it's all yours.
Thank you, Mayor and council members and city staff. It's interesting when something finally comes to the attention of the general public. And Lake Crook has gathered more attention lately than it's ever had since maybe 1924 or 1923. First, I'd like to get a little clarification. Some things are not clear to me. This is a copy of the December 2nd council minutes as available on the web. It says the council was discussing and conducting a public hearing on an ordinance 2013-040, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Paris, Texas, adopting a Parks, Recreation, and Open Space Master Plan. Now, when I was here before, Mr. Effersey gave me a copy of the Lake Crook Plan Development District Plan. Is this referring to this work right here, Mr. Effersey? That's the, okay. Well, the meeting was open for public comments, and it's interesting and important, actually, that no one spoke for it or against it. That means the general public had no opinion. Well, Mr. Effersey recommended that the plan be adopted, and that's this plan right here. And it was adopted with 7 people for it and no people against it. Okay, I had talked to some of the council and asked them if they had anything in their plans to sell, or we'll say lease, the property. And the understanding was, no, we haven't voted for anything for selling or leasing the property. But this is the plan that was adopted by the City Council on December 2nd, 2013. The purpose of the Lake Crook Planned Development District is to establish a unified planned development comprised of several subzones. This proposal is, as undertaken, is for the entire district. Number 7, Paris officials will initiate a marketing program to encourage private and public sector developers to invest and develop within the Lake Crook Planned Development District. At least one council member did not understand that he had passed something for marketing the property. But it has been done. There are several things that I note that are maybe not correct, and maybe they are relevant. It is mentioned over and over that there are 3,000 acres of land in the planned development district. The city actually owns only about 1,500 acres. The total acreage, which is rather important, is totally not correct. And it's mentioned over and over that there are 3,000 acres of land. Now, in these reports also, and in the newspaper hearings, there are several things that we wonder about. And 2 renditions of the newspaper articles, it says, Mayor Hashmi has been contacted by people, and he has pushed the idea of developing this plan since January of 2013. There are 2 instances referring to Mayor Hashmi giving the information to the council that he has acquaintances somewhere interested in this park land. Mayor Hashmi, who are your acquaintances that are interested in the park?
Are you questioning me?
Yes.
I'm not answering that question.
Okay, you can do that.
It's your presentation, so please continue.
Okay. Well, there are newspaper documentations that Dr. Hashmi has made this statement. Okay, now, I have made the reference that Lake Crook Park is a sleeping giant. And it is. The lake is the largest lake in the state of Texas owned by a city. It wasn't built by any state or federal fund. It's strictly owned by the people of Paris. The property is owned by the people of Paris. It is the largest piece of property owned by a city for a park in the state of Texas. Sometimes it's a unique statement to be able to say, we own the largest lake and the largest piece of property in the state. That means you're unique. This property, I think, could be a wonderful asset to Paris, economically, used as a public park. And I do mean all of it used as a public park. I will make the reference that's a biblical reference. Everybody knows the reference of the prodigal son, who took his family's inheritance and his share of it and went away and used it all up. Then he did come back home, but it was really too late. He had already squandered half of the family's property. This is our inheritance given to us by our forefathers, and I don't think we should sell it. It should be kept for the intent it was purchased, which is a public park for the people of Paris. Like selling the water, this council should not sell, and yet they have already passed the ordinance to market this land. I think that we need a council member to rescind that and make the motion to rescind that order that placed on the agenda to market this property. That is not correct for a public and a democracy to do. This park is a genie in a bottle. It hasn't been opened up to the public. It's been closed to the public. This genie, if you wake it up, can produce enormous enjoyment for the people who would come there for a natural park. People could come here and see a park that would be unique for this state. I think a lot of those people would be interested in seeing a unique park, to think this group of people in Lamar County have something unique. We would like to move here. We would like to move our business here. If you take this park as it's designed on paper and make a retirement community, I want to point out that all of us who are retired are dying. A retirement community is a dying community. It does not furnish opportunity for younger people. That is why Paris has grown only 1.5 times since 1920. There have been a lot of bad decisions made by various people guiding the city of Paris. I watched as McChristian Hospital was given, I said given, to Presbyterian Hospital in Dallas. The people of Paris owned McChristian Hospital. It was a community hospital. A lot of people made large donations. All of us made donations to the hospital. It was given away to Presbyterian. That was a takeover scheme that was written up in the Wall Street Journal of large hospitals going and doing things so that they could take over small hospitals. I was not on the staff of the hospital, but I went to the meeting when it was presented to the board and to physicians about giving away the hospital. I asked the question, are you deeding this to McChristian? The answer was yes. Later I interrupted and asked, can they sell it? And the answer was yes. And that's exactly what happened. And Presbyterian put millions of dollars in their pocket in Dallas. If it was not a profitable institution, it could have been closed and it could have been sold for the people of Paris, $60 to $100 million. Now, no one at the meeting besides myself spoke up about those events occurring. I don't want to see that happen in Paris, Texas this time, and so I'm making another effort to allow people to become aware of what we have. Now, I'm glad that Mayor Hashmi has recognized this genie and that some person that he knows has recognized the value of Lake Crook Park. I would invite them to come build whatever they want to in some area of Lamar County, but I would invite the council members to please consider a public vote and to consider how much value this park could have to our area when it has been so neglected for all of these years. So while anyone that Dr. Hashmi knows that's interested in this area is welcome to come, I don't see the need for them to have our park. They would have the ability to buy huge amounts of land in other areas, build their own lakes and ponds as they wanted. And if we keep this lake, there are 4 primary entrances. This is an important part because of people's thinking about how can we fund this. There are some analogous things to Beavers Bend Park. They only have 47 cabins at Beavers Bend Park, owned by the state. Beavers Bend Park pays for all of its expenses and makes money for the state of Oklahoma. If we had 25 cabins at each entrance of this lake, that would be 100 cabins. If they had 40% occupancy, 40% occupancy at $150 a night, that would raise over $2 million annually to support this park. That would support a park that could accommodate teenagers coming to work in the summer, being involved in outdoor activities. We could have a petting zoo, we could have walking trails, we could have crepe myrtle trails, we could have sweet gum trails, we could have riding trails, bicycle trails. We could have water activities including canoeing, crew boating, paddle boats. Children could feed ducks around the lake. All of this has been neglected. It's been there all of these years and never been done. We have a raw water source pumping water to Daisy Farms and to the power plant. That could be tapped on to water this place. This area, given water in July and August, would be unbelievably different. We could develop these things. The cabins would sustain the area and even make money to sustain other parks. We are close enough to Dallas that a lot of people would like to come to a natural park. We can have floral gardens. We can have trees planted with trails. The opportunity is endless for us to have. Now, that is the end of my presentation. I think the ability for us to develop this is there, and I think we should exert some effort. Now, here we are. We have a farm. And the question is, we inherited the farm. Do we sell the farm and squander the money, or do we go to work on the farm and create what it will produce for ourselves and our progeny? Thank you.
Thank you for presentation, Dr. Swin. And as far as your question is concerned, I'll have my presentation and I'll answer your questions at that time. Thank you. Item number 16 is presentation and discussion of a report from Council Committee for Development of Coxfield Airport. First of all, I need a motion to untable this item.
I make a motion we untable it.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Ms. Lancaster is going to do this presentation on the development of Coxfield Airport. Ms. Lancaster.
I'm supposed to have a keyboard?
Right here.
All right. I've never worked this thing before.
I can't come in hell about.
You're going to have to bear with me on 2 points. Okay. I've never used this machine before. And 2, I'm a victim of the ice storm and I broke my leg. So I'm sort of at a disadvantage here. If you'll just bear with me. I want to give a little history on Coxfield. Coxfield is just another real jewel in the crown of Paris. We have such an opportunity to do so many things there and have had in the past. Whoop.
You can keep talking.
Okay. Yeah, I want to. There we go. Coxfield was built by the Army during the war in 1942. Congress authorized an expenditure of $3.5 million, and I want to say they did something out there that I rarely see the government do. They came in $1 million under budget. I wish we could do all of those things like that. It was built for training and also protective use. The field was an invaluable auxiliary landing place where flyers from other bases in this locality landed. It was comprised of more than 1,500 acres, and originally there were a few buildings, 5 tanks for storage of gasoline, which was 63,000 gallons, 5,400 feet of runways, and is that showing up there?
Yeah.
Okay. Can we go back? This is the original layout, which far exceeds most little airports. Okay, next slide. The Army built this little building as their terminal. How many people have been out there any time recently? Well, we've got much more, and I'll go through. We have had 2 other terminals built. Okay, flip on. Central Airlines flew out of there as soon as we acquired it. It was acquired at no cost to the city. We had a Civil Aeronautics Administration had a building out there and had schools and did instruction. All right, we have the next one. We believe this particular terminal building, the second terminal building that was built, also, if you'll notice, it had Paris spelled out. And in the upper corner, is there a little up here? Yeah, you can see the helicopters from, we think, Vietnam. Right there. Yeah, right there. All right. Moving right along, we have the second terminal building. The first one we've already shown. There's the second one, and was a big improvement. Had a big waiting room. We had flights coming in and out, and according to the records, we had about 150 to 200 people landing per year, which was quite a bit then. In 1999, the new term, I've got to get this airplane in. I love this airplane picture.
This one or this one?
Well, both of them.
Okay.
That's just very similar to the same airplane that I first flew to California in. And I wish I knew who some of these people were. I'll bet there's a lot of city people, and you can see a couple of city policemen in there. But we can go to the next one. This is Mr. Ayers. I don't know if you remember it, Ayers Department Store.
Henry Ayers.
And he was very instrumental in, and quite a character, I understand, in bringing the airline and industrial development to a point at Cox Field. He was a true supporter and really pushed for a lot of things to happen. Okay, we go forward. Oh. Okay, this is the airport today, and these next pictures are some of the things that we want to see developed. We'd like to see the runways extended so that we could handle airplanes that need a longer field, even though we have a pretty good field. And we still have 2 runways, which is very unique to us, and we want to keep that even though the FAA says we don't have to. Next picture. All right, if you'll see these yellow areas here, the gold areas are the areas that we've designated for development, any kind of airplane, like painting, parts assembly, and the blue is more for air hangars, in addition of hangars that we have now to add on to them. We get help from the highway department on getting those hangars, and we receive rents from them. Okay, the next one. This is another really showing pretty much the same thing. But we have an awful lot of land that we can develop out there and bring revenue to the city. And you have something in this field that a lot of the airfields don't have. When you go to our little museum and look out the window, you see uncluttered skies. And that's just wonderful. My husband flew out of David Wayne Hook's airfield, which is just adjacent to Intercontinental. That's an experience. We could put any number up. Well, one particular business that unfortunately we lost out on, but there's another one there that we could get, is UPS. And they have, airplanes coming in like mad. They would love to have the clear skies that we have. We have so much potential in this little field. Next. These are hangars that are already built and some that are proposed. We're going to be adding pavement out there. We want to add some access roads so that you have more availability of places into industry or hangars. My husband flew out of Cox until recently when he lost his hearing. And it was just a joy to him. And there's a good many people flying out of there today that feel the same way, that this is just a jewel. Okay. This is a bigger picture showing the entire development. And all of this is under a master plan. I'm going to go ahead and hold this up. That was put out in, I think it was 1995? No, 2011. This is newer than that one. If we follow this plan, this is just money well invested. We've got some things that we do on this plan every single year. And then we have proposed, like the addition, can you get that? The addition to the runways, shows the hangars, shows where we want to put things. And I just think it's extremely comprehensive and well thought out. We'll go ahead and skip that. It's the same sort of thing. The next part I wanted to talk to you about is we need to let people know and send out the information which will garner people who want to build in a lovely town like Paris, has so much going for it, and an airport that's just great. Here you see, this is the newest terminal, was built at just shy of, I believe, $500,000. And it has pilots' rooms, it has a museum in it, it has a lovely waiting room. It's very inviting. If you've never been out there, I'd encourage you to go and visit this little airfield. Okay. Some of the things I'd like to propose, we're going to have to get on the radar. There were opportunities in the past that we missed and other cities took advantage of. We had a hot air balloon organization out there, or festival at one time. That draws national interest. That's what we need, national interest. This is a little site that I came across. This young man, well, he's young to me, does an enactment, a reenactment of the Spirit of St. Louis. His plane is built exactly the way the Lindbergh airplane was built, and I thought, well, why couldn't they go from the origination of that flight and they wind up here in Paris, Texas? And that would be a national. We're going to have to look at innovative and creative ways to bring interest. There are some very nice national magazines that cater to industries, aeronautical industries, and we need to get our name out there and in those magazines. Is this cheap? No, it's not. But you can't just offer, you just can't put
put in one advertisement and think that's going to do. This is going to have to be a sustained effort. And these are, these are just some of the things that I picked up. I just think that little airfield out there is a wonderful asset to this city. And I'd like to see it developed, but developed in a way that it adds to the city and it doesn't take away from the uniqueness of it.
Thank you, Ms. Lancaster. I'm going to open it up for questions by other council members, then I have a few comments. So, Ms. Drake.
I appreciate the presentation, Ms. Lancaster, and I appreciate the boards that have been put together to go forward to look at development and trying to promote this airport. And I believe that we do have a lot to offer here and hope that as the committee goes forward and all people involved, that we can continue and get our name out there and keep it out there, and that we can go forward. I'll be interested in seeing what else y'all bring forward as we go, and appreciate it.
Thank you. Mr. Frierson?
Sure. Sue, thanks for the presentation. A couple quick questions for you.
Surely.
There is a subcommittee put together for this?
Yes.
Okay. And it's made up of whom?
Airport,
Yeah.
PEDC, council.
Okay.
That's pretty much it.
Okay, so they're
a diverse group.
Right, but their charge, I guess, is essentially to come up with ideas for development for the airport. Okay.
Yes.
And are they meeting on a regular basis?
Yes,
or
they are.
Okay. Okay. I didn't know what the ideas that you threw out, if that was a committee idea or if that was.
They're just some ideas that are out there. I mean, there's just so many unique ways. But
Right.
no, those two particular ones were mine, but I'm sure there are going to be a lot.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure there are a lot of possibilities. I was just curious. So no questions for me, just kind of curious about it.
Dr. Grossnickel?
I too would like to thank Ms. Lancaster for the excellent presentation and her work on this committee. I just have one thought that wasn't mentioned, and that has to do with the proposed hangars. We've heard time and time again from many pilots how quickly those hangars would be leased if we could only generate the funds to build them. So I would just remind that committee to try to work somehow to
Well, I
get the
financing. Well, I didn't
financing
really
for
mention that. I showed the proposed, but no, we want to increase the hangars by a lot. We were on that list. Right. We know how it is to be number 7 for 10 years.
Yeah, right.
No, we need to build as many as we can, and I think we can fill them up pretty quickly.
That's all I had. Thank you.
I appreciate your presentation and everything, and the time and effort y'all putting in. And I think it's a pretty good, interesting thing that we got going on right now. I hope we can do what's best for Paris.
Thank you. Mr. Wright?
I'm happy that this committee is pursuing all things, and I would like for them to continue to get national exposure and be creative as they are in attracting activity there.
Thank you. Ms. Lancaster, thank you again for a very good presentation and showing us the history. A couple of words that I would like to mention. First of all, whether it's property at Lake Crook or whether it's property at the airport, it's all city-owned property and it's not being given away to friends or anything like that. It will go through due process whenever that time comes. That's number one. Number two, I do want to tell other council members a few things that we have done. We have written letters to the United States military since it was a military airfield before. If they would be interested in entertaining the idea of having some test flights and some training courses at Coxfield Airport. We have had good response, but it's too early to say whether they will accept it or not. But what it will do is it will increase the traffic at the airport. It will also increase sale of fuel at the airport, besides the fact that once the number of landings and takeoffs increases, if I'm not mistaken, right, Sean, the grants that we might get for the airport might go up too. So wanted to just bring that up. And other than that, we'll continue to progress. I think as we have discussed on our infrastructure plan, that we have things that we are hoping to develop at the airport that might help it grow too. And I again understand Mr. Frierson's concerns with that. But anyway, we'll keep working at it and we'll see how things go. So thank you again. And once we hear back from the U.S. military, I'll update the council again.
Thank you.
But it did look to some extent promising. All right. With that said, item number 17. Is to discuss and act on incentives to encourage and assist downtown property owners and tenants to improve facilities. First of all, I need a motion to untable this item.
Make a motion, we untable it.
Second.
Second.
Ms. Lancaster, all in favor?
Aye.
So the motion is untabled. I want to just bring the council's attention to something, and that was, as I was looking through, trying to find out what, I'm sorry, this one? Other way? This way.
Yeah.
There is a very interesting thing that I found while seeing what different cities do, and that is that there is a United States Conference of Mayors, and interestingly, this conference is held once a year, and they have best practice patterns, which I found. And under the best practice patterns, if one goes and finds, looks back as far back as 2006. Hopefully it'll come up.
2001.
Okay. All right, Kent, how do we bring this up?
Bring it back down where you want to be. Click on the
sorry,
red.
right here,
Yeah.
found it. No, it went into well, let's just wait and
I
see.
don't think it's the right one,
Not this one. Best
but
practice.
it's, are you looking for the,
I'm looking for the vacant and abandoned
Vacant, yeah,
properties.
right
Best
there.
practices right there.
that's not, it still didn't come up.
Got it. So there's a whole section on this which I would encourage all council members to read, because this is not a deciding item today. So if we can please go back and read it, because it's very, very interesting of what different cities have done, as far as cities like Bridgeport in Connecticut, which has the same kind of issues with downtown that we face, and multiple other cities of what the cities have done in those areas, what the mayors have proposed. And interestingly, some of them have written down what successes they have had and what made them successful and what their shortfalls have been. So before we finally come to any particular decision on this, I would strongly encourage that we all go back and read this. As I said, it's under the Mayor's Conference, and not only that, it was interesting to see that besides best practices on this, there is a very beautiful article written there on public and private partnership awards. So besides that, there is one other thing for Mr. Godwin that I found, that there are some very interesting grants that are listed, that if we still have time for 2014 to apply for them, if we can get them done. So if we can please look at this site and see what we can come up with. I've found very interesting things on it. But anyway, Mr. Godwin, your presentation, go ahead.
Well, I don't have a lot to present. We did give you 4 weeks ago now, just somewhat of a random list of some of the things that other cities are doing, have done, ideas that we've collected over the last few weeks. They tend to be in one of three categories. One is grants, give people money. We've got three somewhat small grant programs now to fix facades and to improve your buildings in different ways. Another way is through economic development incentives, a Chapter 380 agreement, creating a TIF, a tax increment financing zone, or a tax improvement zone, a reinvestment zone rather, TERS or a TIF. That generates money that can be used within a specific area. And then another way is trying to change regulations or change infrastructure that makes it easier to develop. A lot of cases, codes that you have in a city are more difficult in old buildings and old areas. One of those, for example, is our fire code. Makes it really difficult if you have to bring up an old building to fire code, because in a lot of cases there's just not enough water there. So one of the things we've talked about, for example, is changing our fire codes so that we still have fire safety, but that we can avoid some of that cost. And part of that, like I think it's number 10 on here, is we're going to be doing utility work as part of our $35 million bond program downtown anyway, to stub out utility lines to be used for fire sprinkler purposes, and to have kind of joint lines so that every single place doesn't have to have its own. By doing things like that, for example, you can get people to live in a downtown. One of the things that's really important for downtowns is for it to become a mixed-use type area. Because if you have people living downtown and also working downtown, the downtown becomes more lively. You've got more activity. It's open more hours of the day. The more hours of the day it's open, the more a business can make money. In the United States, businesses make about 60% of their income at night and on Saturdays. If you don't have enough activity, that's when downtowns tend to close their stores, and so they're losing out. And so you want to do those kinds of things to make it to where people are willing to invest in downtown, meaning you spend private dollars to buy, to fix up, and to clean up and maintain private property. And then once they do so, it's profitable for them. So anyway, I won't go through this whole list. You can read it for yourself. Hopefully you already have, but be happy to answer any questions you may have, or take any comments or suggestions that you have. Sherry, the pirate, I think, is also here, or she was earlier. Our Main Street coordinator is having some eye issues, so please don't tease her. She's very self-conscious about it. But we'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay.
Or try.
I'm going to start this time with Mr. Frierson.
Okay.
Did you come up with any suggestions or any new ideas?
Well, I mean, I guess kind of where I generally start in these things is going to John or Sherry and kind of rehashing what we have in existence currently. We have the Main Street Committee, and I know they are constantly working on new ideas for retail and different events throughout the year. And I guess my questions start with, is there anything that Main Street as a whole or Paris Downtown Association sees as anything glaring that the council can do for immediate needs? I mean, is there something that just hasn't been relayed through the process at this point?
Well, I'll let Sherry address that if she wants, but some of the simple, obvious things are the sidewalks, and of course council's funded three different projects for sidewalk improvements downtown and for light improvements downtown. Another of those areas, big areas, is the fire protection, another thing that's really important to the success of a downtown or any kind of area, any type of development or redevelopment in this case, is the aesthetics of it, and that sometimes seems frou-frou that you need to look good. But you need to have trees, and you need to, or public art, or nice walkways, or brick sidewalks, or whatever it is that fits in your particular area, your particular part of the country or the world, that makes people want to go there. One of the projects, for example, that's really exciting to me is that the First Methodist Church is talking about building their very nice parking area with a spray park. Well, it's not going to draw millions of people in. It's not a water park in the sense they're not going to have big slides out there, any of that kind of thing. But it'll change the look of that entire block, and it's a very busy street, whether you're in town or if you're just driving through town. So if you can get one of those kinds of things done, and it, we certainly want to continue to work with those folks, and hopefully that'll come to fruition, and that'll take care of a block, and it'll really help. So just little things like that. If we can supply them water, we can work with them. Public-private partnerships are great. I noticed some of the things on this list that the mayor's website, Conference of Mayor's website is talking about public-private partnerships. So those kinds of things are really important. But it's kind of simple things. Put trees in your parking lots. It softens the feel of it. It makes it more attractive. It's somewhere you want to go instead of somewhere you want to avoid.
Yeah, and I guess that's the overriding thing for me is in being downtown and hearing some of the trials and travails over time. I don't know that there's one magic bullet per se, but as far as things that I've heard over the years would be the ease of doing business with the city, and what can we do, whether it's not exceptions, but certainly modifying the fire codes and making it easier for a restaurant or any other facility to to come into business, because those are the hardest years to make a profit anyway, and then they become burdened and saddled with exorbitant costs on the front end that's very hard to recoup. So if I were to look at ways that we could improve as a council, help improve, I personally, is the facade grant important? Sure it is. If you raise the amount that you can get to, is that going to change things night and day? I doubt it. I don't know. But I would think if we as the council could agree to come to some parameters to make the ease of doing business day to day, especially on the front end, that's where you're going to see an improvement, where people don't have the roll of the eyes or shrug of the shoulders like, oh my God, I have to go downtown and deal with them. So that's really, I think, where the key is going to be in this. And I liked your list, John, with the TIF agreements. You and I have discussed those briefly over time, and I think if we can, or even the 380 agreement of some sort, to make sure that there's an actual incentive down there, I think that's kind of where we can come into play. Because I know how hard those guys work month after month, year after year with the Main Street Committee and putting on the various I guess functions that give viability and visibility. There's one coming up in April. It's a great time. And they put in that sweat equity and that labor, but what can we do to support it? I think it's in the incentives and not anything in the ease of doing business. So,
thank you, Mr. Frierson. I'll say a few words that I have read, and what my thoughts were. The 2 or 3 things that come to my mind were: number one, write off the back taxes. Instead of taking the property over, if we can write off the back taxes and let people spend that amount of money on fixing their building themselves, that is one of the thoughts that came to my mind. And that was also one of the things that was listed over here. So tax forgiveness is one. Number 2, even to the point of saying that if people want, and again, the city attorney has to discuss this and see whether that's a possibility, that we give up collecting taxes for a short period of time from the people, if they would come up with a promise that they'll fix those buildings and what fixation they will cause in a certain period of time. And then the third thing was, again, the fire chief might have to address this, is one of the biggest problems of redevelopment of property in downtown is the fire regulations and the fire safety. Is there any way to relax those or not? Is there not a way to relax those regulations for those particular properties? And because one of the big hindrances is the fact that if you want to bring them completely up to current fire code, the expense involved is so much that it's not worth buying the property. And so I'm not trying to say that we should eliminate fire regulations. I'm just needing help from the fire chief to see if there is any relaxation, or is there anything that can be done to maybe ease them to some extent, so that if somebody is interested in acquiring the property, that they are not kept to those strict standards that all of us in other areas have to follow. And again, I'm not sure whether that's a legally doable thing or not. Fire safety, obviously, in downtown areas is very important, and that should be paid attention to. But if it restricts development of downtown, and if we can negotiate that down, and maybe we could have some properties improve, is it worth thinking about it? So, but I need a little bit answer from the fire chief on this.
Mayor, Council, I don't propose necessarily changing the fire codes, but there is flexibility built into them. We have the flexibility to work with the property owner to come to some conclusion where the fire safety is addressed and the strict code is not necessarily followed. I have in the charter, I'm the authority having jurisdiction over fire codes, have a fire marshal, and he's very good at working with property owners to come to the consensus on what has to be done, for sure, to protect them, but not necessarily following the fire code specifically to the letter. There's been a building just purchased downtown. I can't give you the particulars on it because the fire marshal just mentioned it to me this morning. They asked us to come over and walk through the building with them. We made some suggestions about ceilings and structure and exit lights and that kind of stuff. Very minimal amount of expense is going to cause this person to go forward and try to revamp this building. So there is flexibility built into the fire code. It allows us to work with the property owner to satisfy us that it's protected, but also to keep them from having to spend millions and millions of dollars to bring property up to code.
So maybe if we can advertise it, because as a lot of things work in town, hearsay, people are scared to buy anything in downtown because of that reason. So maybe if we can publicize the fact that we have some leeway in this, we want to provide fire safety, but there is leeway if people are interested in coming to downtown. We can certainly, even before they buy the building, we can ahead of time try to see what can be negotiated down on those.
We will look into that.
Thank you. And so that was that. There was one other thing that I had read. I don't remember it quite right now, but once we get done with the rest of the council members, if I remember it, I'll say it. Mr. Wright.
The downtown building owners that I've spoken to are concerned that they can't get a renter who does enough, or a leaser who does enough business to afford to pay them enough for them to fix up their buildings. And I think maybe relaxation of some of the expenditures that they might have to go through, or maybe tax relief, if they would guarantee to spend that amount of money on their building, might be shed a little light on the subject.
Mr. Jenkins?
I have no question at the moment.
Ms. Lancaster?
Well, a lot of what I hear from people starting a business is they get hit with so much in the way of cost in order to bring up their buildings. And I'd like to see us find some way to work that into a scale, like giving them time to bring this code or that code up. Because it's an awful lot when you're starting a business to get hit with all of that stuff. So I'd like to see some time.
Yes, I think that these ideas that John gave there's some good possibilities there. I don't think the city has enough money to throw at the private sector that's going to make a significant effect, but I do think that if we can, as everyone has said, maybe make things perhaps a little more friendly, less daunting, then maybe we'll have more potential investors want to, spend their money fixing up their building and create something really special. And there are businesses that are recently born here in the last few months that I wish them well, and it provides something unique for the visitor to walk in, see a specialty shop. So it's really up to the private sector, though, to develop downtown. But I think the city's done a lot with in the Main Street Department with the festivals that are held downtown. That brings a lot of people into the downtown area, and we do want it to look nice and attractive to people. So any of those city-branded trash can ideas, things like that I think we've tried to do some of that already. Maybe not city-branded, but at least there's some uniformity of the trash cans downtown on the square, things like that. The money that was spent to play music and to have the nicer signpost downtown, I think was great. And of course, the donated clock from Ms. Haygood was a great addition. But I don't personally know that we have a lot of money to offer to private business owners. We can maybe expand the grant slightly, but we just have to wait and see how that goes.
Ms. Drake.
Again, a lot of it has already been said on some of the things that I was going to bring up, and I do like the fact of trying to go forward and giving them some incentives that we possibly can, because like Dr. Grossnickel said, we don't have a lot of money to put toward this, I'm afraid, right now, the city as a whole. But some of the things that I really liked on your list, John, was, like number 7, where we might have a designated staff person to help someone that's trying to put in a business, walk them from start to finish, because that can be overbearing sometimes. And so I think, like everyone else has said, little things that we can do to try to encourage people to take their businesses downtown and to revitalize some of the buildings, I think would be a great idea.
Thank you. The thing that I was forgetting was, you remember we were doing that 5,000 grant for dilapidated homes. By the way, where do we, well, it's not on the agenda, so I won't discuss that, but if something can be done similar to that, we can sit down and talk to the bankers again and property owners and see what the other thing that I was thinking was, if we can, as a city and a council, have a joint session with the property owners, at least all around the square, so that we can get started somewhere and see what are the things that, I mean, because we have thought about discussing various things, but we have never asked really them, what would it take for you to fix it?
Yeah.
You know, so if we can maybe have a joint session with them and see what their suggestions are, and if they can say that what they would like help on.
Okay.
So if we can arrange that, that was the other suggestion that I had. So with that said, I don't think this, it's listed as an action item, but really there's nothing, no action on it today. So
I have a question. Is
Sure.
there anything in here that, and I think everybody's on board, is, you know, want the best for downtown and all those things, but, and I agree that meeting with the property owners would help the existing businesses. Is there anything in this, just for instance, on this list that John pointed out, he wrote 14 things, anything that jumps out at anybody to have them work on as far as perhaps moving further, and specifically, I guess I was thinking about kind of hashing out a more detailed of number 11 of the neighborhood empowerment zone. Just a thought for the group. I mean, we're all in agreement, and we know there's not a lot of money available, but what can we do today to maybe see something in the next 2 or 3 months that comes to life?
Mr. Frierson, on next Monday, I was going to, or at the last item, I was going to describe that there's going to be a council meeting. We were going to suggest a council meeting on Chapter 380 Economics. Board, what is it?
Chamber of Commerce
Chamber of
Retail
Commerce
Committee
is wanting to come and meet the council and discuss it. So that is one of the points that can be taken. But I think the council and the people need to be educated on it a little bit. So they're going to come, the Chamber of Commerce wants to come and educate us a little bit on 380, or whether it can be applied or not, or whether the council would be interested in applying it or not. So that is one of the points that you can take, which would be an incentive. So but that can be discussed once the council is completely educated on what the pros and cons of this are. And if you feel that 11 is something which is important, glad to entertain it.
Well, I guess for me, that one kind of jumped out as far as, like, if somebody's looking at buying a building downtown, you know, certainly they're looking at their startup costs, and any edge they can get to make that transaction or to move forward, at least in their business plan, that might be something that could be done internally to go ahead and get a move on something like that. It's the thought for the group. If you have discussion,
I have no objection to it if you want to propose it.
I mean, I'd like to see something. If I get to be the one, don't have to be, but get to be the one that kind of goes out. And John, if you guys have any
we'll
ideas or
research that more and
specifics.
come back with some more information about
I'd like
empowerment
to see
zones.
that. Okay.
I think it may be worthwhile at some point to talk about a TIF as well. I'm not a fan of a lot of the TIFs that have been created in Texas, but downtowns is one of those that a lot of times it is a good way. You're not generating new money, but you're kind of refocusing money so that people invest in a downtown are getting a return on what they invest in.
And that's the key.
Yeah, absolutely.
So does the council want to proceed with tabling it, or do you want to adopt anything out of the 14?
I mean, I don't know what I would propose to act on necessarily, but I'd like to point out at least a couple of those points that we need to move forward on as far as direction.
Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I thought I did. Yeah, I mean.
The one is 11 that you said? What
11
else?
definitely, and obviously, if there's a meeting to be had about the 380 economic development, I think that's great. Certainly, I'd like to know more about that.
And what day did they give us? They gave us March 4th, which is a Monday?
Monday.
March 4th?
And when we get to this item, whatever the one is, we've got like three different meeting proposals at the same time and date, so we'll need to talk about that in a minute.
Anything else, Mr. Frierson?
No, that's a good start. Thanks.
Okay, so the direction that the council wants to take is to go with the 380 plan and discuss that and number 11.
And to research the neighborhood empowerment zone.
All are in agreement on that? Okay, so that's the direction.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll table the item for the rest of it. I'll make a motion to table.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? No. Okay, so that takes us to the next item, which is item number 18, receive and discuss annual report and plan for emergency medical service. Mr. Klinkerman. Mr. Klinkerman, you have not been on this podium for a long time.
I doubt he missed it.
Mr. Klinkerman, I have a whole set of questions.
Mayor and council, members of the council, I appreciate the opportunity to present a report on the EMS department and the future goals of our department. Before I get into it, I only have a short amount of time because I've been threatened with keeping it short. I want to make sure that everyone's aware of the Emergency Management and Healthcare Conference that's going on at the Lubbock Civic Center right now. Mm-hmm. It is, tomorrow there's training for agencies from all over the region who are being trained on emergency management and the healthcare components of that. There's also going to be an open house there, and then on Wednesday we're going to have a full functional disaster drill, regional disaster drill, transporting patients, flying helicopters, ambulance buses, ambulances everywhere, rescue, SWAT. It's going to be a big thing. So that'll be happening on Wednesday afternoon. So if you
What time is that?
Sir?
What time?
It starts at 1 on Wednesday. You want to be a victim?
Anything I can do.
I can arrange something right now. we can do it, I promise.
Now, who was that raising the hand? I won't forget your face. You know, everyone in the city has heart problems.
The Paris EMS has 3 ambulance staff 24/7. The map that's in front of you gives you an idea of the districts that each of those ambulances covers. Each ambulance has 2 paramedics in it. They're licensed by the state, the Department of State Health Services, at the Mobile Intensive Care Unit. We're a full-service medical transportation provider. We do 911, obviously. Y'all have all seen us run around with the lights and siren on. But we also do non-emergency transports back to the nursing home or to clinics and facilities as well. We also do hospital-to-hospital critical care transportation as well. Our service area comprises 933 square miles, and we have about 50,000 in population. That's the census, but I suspect that our daytime population may be a little higher with PJC and the industry and things like that. And as I talk about the system on the map, it talks about system. I want to talk about the chain of survival. It starts with whoever calls 911. A bystander, family member, whatever, it's answered at the 911 center, who gives them pre-arrival instructions and makes sure the right resources get delivered to them. We then have first responders who are affiliated with us wherever they are in the county. They respond and provide initial basic treatment for us till we get there. Sometimes we beat them there, sometimes we don't. Depends on where the call is and how close it is. Next is the EMS, of course, near and dear to my heart. These are the ones who are on the ambulance, and they're going to be taking care of the patient and transporting them to the hospital. And where we deliver them to the emergency room, where we assist the emergency room staff in taking care of the patient. Each one of those links in that chain are important. But obviously, as far as I'm concerned, what I'm worried about is the paramedics, the medics who are on the ambulances. If I could, I'd like to take a minute and have the ones who are in the room, if you're in EMS, if they'd stand for a minute. Didn't think you was going to have to do that, did you? These are some of the men and women who are on those ambulances every single day, boots on the ground, going out there in the midst of sometimes the most terrifying and worst moments of a person's life. They're all about taking care of the patient and the patient's family and doing what's best for the patient. And sometimes it may not be something as simple as just holding their hand, because someone can be terrified of whatever's going on at that point in time. Thank you, guys. There's your graph of some of the call volume for the last few years. It talks about requests for service in each year, and then out of county transports. That's transportation outside the county to usually a higher level of care. That number is important because those type of calls take 6 to 7 hours to get crews in, get the patient, get them gone, get them delivered to the hospital where they're going, and then get back in service. So those are a lot of hours of transportation. We have 3 shifts, A, B, and C shift, and each shift is supervised by a supervisor. We also have a medical director. Dr. Sharon Malone is a fantastic asset for us. She's been here before when y'all approved her contract, and she lives and breathes EMS. She's fantastic for bringing enthusiasm, knowledge, and expertise to this subject, and helps us keep people trained and sharp and delivering the quality care that we need to. And she's supposed to be coming up here by now. That was your cue. And she was the one waving at you, by the way.
Oh, okay.
And everything. But she wanted to say just a few words for a minute or two, if that's okay. Dr. Malone.
Thank you very much, Mr. Klinkerman. Dr. Hashmi, members of the council, thank you very much for allowing me to see you today. Thank you for applauding for these men and women who actually perform these jobs in a moment of sheer terror, not only for the patient, but for the family, and sometimes just being 2 medics or a medic and a basic alone out in the reaches of our county. What the work that they do is quite remarkable. I've asked John to please just open for you and show you some of the equipment and some of the processes that we utilize to treat patients in the field. Because when one does not know about something, one doesn't know what questions they might have. So I wanted you to see some of this. Thank you very much, John. We're going to leave it here for just a minute. If you want to look at any of it or you want us to show you any of it, we'll be happy to. We know that you are on a very tight schedule. So I have some talking points tonight for you. Emergency medical services has changed significantly in the last 5 years. EMS is performing much more critical care in the field. We are delivering not only evidence-based treatments, we are reducing morbidity and mortality in our patients. Attracting knowledge and experience in our EMS staff is the key to delivering ever-advancing care in EMS. In trauma, STEMI, one of the reasons I want you to see the LifePak 15 is that we automatically send that EKG. It comes to me and it goes to the hospital. Any physician who's set up it there to receive it in the cath lab, it means that moments are heart muscle. It makes a real difference. Attracting and retaining this staff is a high priority in this effort to maintain a competent and caring EMS service. We perform EMS duties because we want to relieve pain and suffering of our citizens in their time of need. We enter their homes. We pick up their moms and dads and children from between the wall and the toilet, and we get them to a place of safety, and we take care of them because that's what we want to do. Switching subjects briefly, EMS operations is another area that I'd like to talk with you about briefly. EMS operations is a complex and time-intensive task. All EMS staff must receive ongoing training and continuing education, which is state mandated. Yearly, each member of our department is evaluated in his or her skills and proficiency. As medicine advances and as the treatments improve, those changes must be reflected in protocol advancements, treatment advancements, medication advancements, and equipment advancements. Process improvement and patient outcomes must be integrated into monthly training, and all of this training is really a requirement of a system medical director. But in order to faithfully perform the duties of your medical director, I require an operations manager, a training officer, joint position, however you put this together, with whom I can directly interact to assure that ongoing training, continuing education, the achievement of the understanding of patient outcomes so that we go back all the way to the beginning and perform true process improvement. And one last word for you. Paris EMS has recently been overlooked in recognition for heroic service to the citizens of Paris. Every member in the chain of survival, beginning with dispatch and ending with the person in the emergency department who helps clean up the mess after we're done, every person in this chain deserves to be recognized, because in all of this, we achieve the goal of taking care of the patient. In a recent house fire, EMS provided the patient care that successfully resuscitated the patient that was extricated from the home. And that patient survived to the hospital, and then EMS turned around and was able to transfer that patient on to the hospital in Dallas. More importantly, a police officer drove that ambulance so that the two-man crew could actually both work on that patient critically ill at the same time. So I respectfully understand the monetary goals and problems that we have everywhere in every city, but I really had to tell you about these men and women and about Mr. Klinkerman himself, and to ask you for your support in these things that we need. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Once she gets going, it's kind of hard to stop her. Further on the presentation here, she did talk about the CQI, the continuous quality improvement. Every month, 10% of our runs are pulled and evaluated, as well as our sentinel events. Sentinel events are a cardiac arrest. We do a rapid sequence intubation or chemically induced intubation. Anything that's critical, they are all evaluated by an independent person. It to be for compliance of policy and for adherence to the patient care protocols. That's above what's required, but we think that that's a good practice, and that's what drives the training that we then, as we identify, because we all are human and miss things, and sometimes we have to be reminded and retrained on some things, and that's the whole point of the continuous quality improvement that we do. What y'all have done for the community is that y'all have been 100% behind making sure that we have life cycle schedules for all of our durable medical equipment. You buy an ambulance every year. We life cycle the monitors, the stretchers, the pagers, the radios, the computers. That's thanks to y'all and the city, the management, obviously. We also have a preventive maintenance program where everything has a schedule where it is taking care of. The city barn takes care of our ambulances, and we have independent contractors who take care of the monitors, the stretchers, and other things like that. Lastly, I don't want to forget about our community outreach. These guys are really active out in the community. They're constantly trying to find ways to give back. They do that through the Think Child Safety Program, Kids Safe Saturday, which is coming up. We do Fill the Boot and give back to the kids of the community. We teach CPR and first aid. That's the things that they do that they feel are ways to reduce mortality and morbidity in our community. And I'm very proud of them. The factors that are limiting our continued success is the same thing y'all been beat about the head for so many times lately. It has to do about compensation. I'm talking about take-home dollars in their pockets. We have had a difficult time attracting where we used to not. When we have an opening, I had 3 openings this year, and it was been very difficult. We had a couple openings last year to attract the qualified applicants that we want, the people, the paramedics who have the level of enthusiasm and desire for this community. That's what we're looking for. And we're sitting on the edge where all we're doing is training them and they go somewhere else. All of my part-timers, even if they go to work somewhere else, I have a PRN crew, and they at least will come back and work for me occasionally whenever I need extra to staff up. So that's helpful. But we're at a critical juncture where we're about to fall off that cliff if we don't start worrying about that, because the compensation has not kept up with inflation. Our overtime calculation method has lowered their take-home pay, and obviously the insurance for sure. So all we're asking is what you've heard from the other fire and police, and what you hear from every manager is that we all are kind of getting our hands tied behind our backs trying to attract and retain good quality people that we need because of the lack of dollars in their pocket on a paycheck. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Klinkerman. First of all, I want to make a couple of quick comments. And that is, I've obviously worked more closely than I think any other council members here, correct? Maybe Dr. Grossnickel has. But absolutely the finest department, no question about it. I also want to say that, recently I was in New York City and there was an incident where EMS was called. And it was not that their staff was not competent, they were very competent, but what the difference you see over here in the caring of the family and members other than the patient itself that we see in our department is excellent. The other thing that I want to compliment is that whether it's treatment advancements or whether it's having mobile EKG units, I think the ability of the staff that you have, of their ability to read, actually surpasses physicians in other places that I've seen. So that is also very good. The one question that I did have though for you is, right now you had two departments, IT and EMS. Do you, like other departments, do you feel that there is a need for having a deputy?
Well, I can always just say yes, but
well, you should say what you think. Yeah. If the answer is yes, then the answer is yes.
Well, I'm trying to balance the answer in that there are some things that it's difficult to stay ahead of on the EMS side. I've got good staff in IT, and I've got good staff in the EMS. The billing ladies who work the billing, I've got that part as well, and they're knowledgeable and proficient and experienced. But that's the reason why I've kind of proposed the half-time at this point in time to see whether or not I could tie something together between both departments where half of the cost would be over in IT and half the cost would be in EMS, and wouldn't necessarily be just jumping in there and getting a full cost of a deputy, because I'm always aware of the bottom line.
And the bottom line is yes or no?
Bottom line monetarily.
No, I understand that, but that's not my question right now.
Yes, I could use it. Yeah, I could use a deputy, yes.
Okay, all right. So that was my question. Do you think a deputy is good enough, or should there be a deputy and a training person?
Well, whoever, if we've got a full-time position, I would say it would be a combined all of that. There would be operations and training and CQI, run review, things like that, maintenance, supplies. That would be, to me, be all rolled into one.
And do you think it requires hiring an outside individual, or do you think you have staff that you can promote amongst yourself?
I know we have staff within ourselves that they have the knowledge and the aptitude, and so if they needed any training, we could get them for that to come up with the certification or whatever. But yeah, we could promote.
Okay, those were my three questions. I'll have some other questions afterwards. Ms. Drake.
That was what I was going to ask you too, but other than a deputy, a full-time deputy possibly, what do you think right now would be the next most important thing that you would need?
Well, I prioritized what I thought would be, and my priorities on the, I think it's on y'all's, was you need to take care of the guys first. Compensation. Number two was the Northside Station that I've talked about for years with y'all, about the need to have them have a station where they actually have, the men and women have a separate bathroom for one, all the things that we talked about before, that being priority two, and that the assistant or the deputy or operations manager, what do you want to call it, is being priority three.
Okay. That's all I have, but all I can say is kudos and job well done to the men and women, because if I ever need them, I want to know that we have the best, and I think we do have a great group of men and women, and I applaud you all.
Thank you.
Mr. Frierson?
Well, I'll keep it very short. Ken, thank you guys for everything you do. Obviously, your department's well respected, and to that extent, if you get out of here with the mayor only asking you 3 questions, that's a testament to how well you run your department. So
It's early.
I have nothing.
It's early.
Thank you.
Wait.
It's early.
I too think we have a great EMS department and a great department head who does a fantastic job, and a good medical director as well. So I'm glad that we're fortunate enough to have this service in our county, and as a councilman, I'll try to see what I can do about, suggesting more compensation at these
We appreciate it.
levels.
Well, I can't say enough what a superb job all of you do. Had some unfortunate instances where you came out and really helped me with a little runner I had, and I couldn't thank you enough for what you did for me. So, superb job. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Jenkins?
I mean, I appreciate everything that y'all do, because it seems like every second counts when y'all out there in the field, and I know it could be life or death, so what you do on the spot right here before we get to the hospital. So hope we can help y'all out of whatever you need. And actually, do all these guys live in Paris or what?
We live all over.
All over?
All
So we
over,
have people
yeah.
coming in from out of town working?
Out of town.
Well, maybe the county.
In the county.
A lot of them live in the city and the county. In Lamar County for the most part, yes.
Mr. Wright?
I think it's well done. You do a good job, and you're very highly respected. Thank you for what you do.
Thank you, Mr. Wright. I appreciate that.
Mr. Klingerman, one last question.
You started it saying,
No, it's a very technical question. Nothing to do with it. I was just curious, you remember when we had initially talked about cardiac patients, do we draw the blood on the ambulance or not? Or is it drawn at the emergency room?
Yeah, they decided not to do that part of the STEMI program.
Okay, that's fine.
You still get your EKGs?
Yes, most certainly. And I want to just tell everyone that it is very interesting. Whenever they see a person with chest pain or they think that somebody is having a heart attack, they're able to do the EKGs. I think a few years ago we sat down and, went through some classes on doing EKGs, and they transmit it and I get it immediately. So if there's ever a question, I get it instantaneously as soon as they do it. So incredible. That's very nice. Thank you.
Dr. Hashmi,
Yes.
I'll just want to say one thing about that drawing blood, just physician to physician. The biggest problem that I've had in the past with that, with any service, and it's true here as well, is identifying the blood belongs to this patient, drawn at this time, and is a good sample when it gets to the ED. But if you have a committed program here at the hospital, you might be able to work a way around that so that with pre-done labels or that kind of thing, and that would just give a few more minutes for your cutting edge to get the patient to the cath lab.
Well, I appreciate your answer, but I think the other problem that we have discussed in the past is since there are only 2 people in the ambulance, it's hard for them to be taking care of the patient, driving the ambulance and drawing blood. What we have ended up doing these days essentially is that when the person comes in and if they're having an acute infarct, they may have their blood drawn, but we don't wait. We just take the patient directly, and if the blood comes back, whatever, we just deal with it as it comes. But the thing is, importance here is that to save the life first, and we can figure out about the blood work later. But thank you again for coming.
Thank you.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay, thank y'all.
All right. With that said, item number 19 is convened into executive session pursuant to section 551.087 of Texas Government Code to discuss, deliberate regarding commercial or financial information that the government body has received from a business prospect that the government body seeks to have locate, stay, or expand in or near the territory of the government body with which the government body is conducting economic development negotiations, or to deliberate the offer of a financial or other incentives to a business prospect described by subdivision 1. The time is 7:35 p.m. and we'll go into executive session. Thank you. Okay, time is 7:51 p.m. We are out of the executive session. What was just discussed was various incentives by PEDC to businesses. Item number 21, consider and approve future events for City Council and City staff pursuant to Resolution 2004-081. Mr. Godwin.
We have some kind of overlapping meetings that have been requested. specifically, the PEDC, and I don't know if you've gotten emails about this yet or not. The PEDC has a Mr. Damon Wells, who's an economic development person who is going to be in town on Monday. And they have invited you to join them in a joint meeting to hear a presentation from him from 4 to 6 on Monday. At the same time, we had previously discussed with the Chamber of Commerce's Retail Committee, and Jeff's a member of that, to try to have a joint meeting with them beginning at 5:30 that same day, next Monday, the 3rd. And then, of course, at the same time, a couple of you also have the Smoking Task Force meeting, which I think is tentatively scheduled for 5 o'clock on Monday. So the question, first of all, is are you available Monday for a meeting? And then as far as the the chamber meeting, the PEDC meeting, we can spread those out so that you can make both of those if you're available. But if you're not available, then we need to reschedule both of those.
Okay, we'll go from this way. I'll answer. I don't want to go to the PEDC meeting.
Okay.
And the reason for that is because if it's about an appointment person, I think they should do it. It's their job to appoint. I don't know whether this is an appointment
this
thing
is
or
just
is it
somebody
just a
who's
presentation.
going to talk to them about economic development in general. He's supposed to be an expert on the subject.
Damon is a lobbyist.
He's a lobbyist out of
for
Washington.
the,
He's a native Parisian.
Wildlife and Turkey Foundation.
Okay. Does the council want to attend it?
What, it would be from
Sure.
4
No,
to
I mean-
6? I'm not available.
Sure.
Because I have that smoking control.
Yeah, I want to finish
I'd like
the
to-
smoking thing, so I want to go to the smoking thing. I definitely want to go to the chamber thing. Those are the two that I want to attend.
Plus, I have a prior commitment at 6 o'clock that night.
Okay, so if I miss the PEDC thing, I miss the PEDC thing. I'm sure somebody will record it, and so I can read it.
What time is it?
I'll go to both.
Okay.
What time is
I
it?
want to go to all.
The 4 o'clock is the PEDC.
I think we should post it on
We'll
all
post-
of
we'll
them.
post them both.
And then
Then
whoever
can
can make
make
it to whatever.
Right.
Or maybe if we can divide 2, 2, and 2, then the others can update us on.
And I had told Shannon that if you do go Monday, some of you may leave early to go to the meeting at 5:30, and she's perfectly understood that ahead of
And
time.
what time is the chamber meeting?
5:30 is when we scheduled it for.
And it's over here.
It's here.
So we'll
It's here.
try to wrap up
It's
the
here.
smoking meeting between 5 and 5:30, and then we can do the 5:30 onwards. Well, maybe we could go to all three. We can just. do early.
It could be that you do.
And I'll see if I can
right
get
here.
somebody
Yes, sir.
to cover.
Mr. Friedson, I'll pick you up.
Please do.
Well, if you're in that orange car, it'll be
Yeah,
here
you're
to
in
there in 10 seconds.
Transport.
There's not room for a whole lot.
All right. So now, with that
Now.
said,
Larson?
So moved?
okay, all in favor?
Aye.
And I second.
Already folded my agenda. It's a good thing I can think on my.